Bam, we're live. Welcome. Get started here in just a second. Okay. Yep, we're live there. Okay. Welcome. Let me know what part of the country you're from if you're new. Welcome. Let me know what part of the country you're from. We're just getting started, so it might be a minute before we get some more people on. All right. So we're going to talk about remodeling. All right. So here we go, remodelers. If you're thinking it's time to like step up your marketing, right? You want to run some more ads, get some more posts, generate some more calls. I would suggest being careful if you don't have a process, a clear process dialed in. Welcome. We're talking about remodeling and marketing and sales process. If you have any questions or you want to let me know what part of the country you're in, fire away. If you don't have a good process, then you're just going to build more headaches. And this is why most guys try to scale and then they fall back. They get worn out, they get bitter, they get broke, and then they tell everyone that you can't do it. And I'm so much happier. Now it's just me and my one guy, and they are happier, but it's also a defeated attitude because what happened was they wanted to grow their business, but they couldn't figure it out and it got too hard. And then, so they had to quit and retreat. And that's where most remodelers live. That's the initial cycle. They start out self-employed, they bring on a helper or two, they try to scale, they just scale problems, and it's infuriating and it's frustrating, and they get burnt out, so they scale back, and then they tell everyone that's the only way it can be. It's just not the case. They just didn't get the skills to go to the next level. So you see it over and over again. You get the phone to ring, you get busy, you start running all over town doing free estimates, and you end up with a calendar full of tire kickers and a bank account that just doesn't match your effort. So today we're going to walk you through the front door of a real sales system. This is a simple version of what we teach inside the Remodeling Academy. Some of my detailed programs are like Client Kryptonite, Hey Hugs Life, welcome, which is a high level. It's basically built for like a sales corporation, a remodeling corporation, but most local remodelers could implement it, but not until you're probably doing over $1 million, because you have to have a dedicated salesperson. And then we get into the true sales process, multi-step and multi-million. So first thing we have to do, you have to weed the lead. Second thing you have to do, you have to find the deeper need. What's the real why? Third thing you have to do is you lead with your solution. Okay? 3 simple ways to think about how you go by and do a remodeling sales process. Weed the lead, get the deeper need, will lead to a solution. Okay? If you get those 3 things right, then you can really start pouring money into your marketing. And it won't just be presenting you with problem on top of problem. All right. So most remodelers, they really do think that they have a sales problem. They don't. They have a sequence problem. They jump straight into driving to the house. Knee-jerk reaction. Billy Bob, welcome. Sea Rage, welcome. Most contractors get a phone call. They answer. Homeowner says, I want an estimate. And boom, the contractor runs off. Worst thing to do. They're driving to the house. They look at the project. They're throwing out a number. All way too fast. You've totally jumped the gun. Welcome, guys. If you're new, let me know what part of the country you're from. We're talking about a sales process for a scaling remodeler, and why most remodelers only hit a certain level, like let's say 500, 700,000, and then they get overwhelmed, then you scale back, and then they tell everyone you just can't do it. It's too hard. Well, all right. So once we have a process, we will no longer be surprised when the homeowner says, oh, we're getting some more bids, right? You're more expensive than the other guy. We need to think about it. You already know these things are coming, right? So this is letting you know if those objections come out, then you've skipped parts of your sales process. I already know the objections. I bring up the objection before the homeowner does. I already let them know that we're going to be more expensive. That way they're not telling me at the end. It's like, duh, yeah, of course we're more expensive. So if you're getting that, if a homeowner tells you that you're more expensive, it lets me know you don't have a sales process. Plain and simple. If the homeowner says we need to think about it, again, it lets me know that you really didn't walk through a good, proper sales process. If the homeowner says to you, we're getting more bids, again, it lets me know you don't have a sales process because you didn't figure all that out first. You should be uncovering that and bringing it up. The homeowner shouldn't be bringing it up to you as an objection. So very simple to figure out whether you have a sales process or not. So all those objections, they're letting you know that you've skipped parts, right? Where you were deciding if they were a good fit, you understood what they really wanted, and then you lead them through your system. If you ramp up your marketing without fixing this, what's going to happen is, yeah, you're going to get more calls, you're going to give out more free estimates, and there's going to be a lot more let me think about it, okay? Welcome. If you guys are new, let me know what part of the country you're from. I'm just talking about a sales remodeling process to help you scale. So, if you've ever wondered why you're tired and yet you don't have more profit running your remodeling business, usually it's because you lack a sales process, right? So let's fix it. The first thing we talk about, welcome. Let me know what part of the country you're from if you're new. Hopefully you guys have what I call the weed to lead system. Basically, anytime a homeowner calls you and says, hey, we want to get an estimate, you better have several questions that you ask before you go out and visit them, right? You weed out. You're determining if they're a good match for you. We don't run and gun anymore. You did that when you were a rookie and you didn't know any better. But now that you've been in business for a while, you go through a process over the phone, and that's how you determine who to work with and who not to. So we don't treat every inquiry like an automatically, they deserve a free estimate, okay? They don't, not everyone deserves for you to go out to them in person for free at all. The goal of your first contact is not to book an appointment. The goal is to answer one question. Should this person get on my calendar, right? You're listening for three things. You want to understand, is there a project fit? Is this the kind of work that we're going to do? Is it in the area that we serve? Is this homeowner fit our demographic? Like, we have to look at the budget. You have to figure out the budget on the first phone call. Those of you that get scared and don't bring up the budget till the end, that you're just being a rookie, okay? You have to get over the fear. You have to bring up budget very early. You have to make sure it's a good fit. Think about it this way. If a homeowner went out to buy a car and you sell Maseratis and they want to buy a Mazda, how much time are you going to waste showing them, oh, look at the Maserati, it does this, it does that, it has this kind of engine. And at the end, you're going to say it's 100 grand. And they're going to go, are we looking for a car that's 20,000? Like, you should have been able to figure that in the first 5 minutes, right? But too many contractors don't realize that the homeowner's on the wrong lot and you drove all the way out there to meet with them. So also, decision and timing. You have to figure out if the project and the timing are going to work out. Is it a someday or are they tire kicking, right? For those of you guys that are new, please let me know where you're from. Thomas, Columbia Roofing, welcome. What part of the country are you in? And Southern Charm as well. All right. And if you have any questions about the sales process for remodeling, let me know. Otherwise, I have a little presentation I go through, and then we can have a discussion. So your sales process, when I get a phone call and the homeowner calls, I should know within about 10 minutes whether I'm going to be working with this homeowner or not, right? And most of the time, we're kicking them out. If you're doing a lot of marketing and generating a lot of buzz, you're not always going to get the right homeowner calling you, and that's okay, right? But the problem is most contractors are desperate. So when the phone rings, they feel like I have to go meet with them because I've converted some of these people in the past. And that again lets me know you don't really have a good marketing program, do you? Because you're so desperate that you take every single phone call. Okay. And yeah, if you're only getting like one phone call a week, I guess you are going to have to take it. But that lets me know your real problem is a marketing problem. All right. So on that initial phone call, I'm determining whether I'm going to work with this homeowner again, right? So I want to understand their project. I want to see if they're the right kind of client for me. Does it make sense? And if it does, I'm going to explain my company's process. This is how we do the remodeling experience here at my company. Washington State. Okay, awesome. And how long you been in the game? Is this a new business or you've been doing this for a while? That one sentence alone can save you dozens of hours. So 3 years. Okay, cool. All right. So you came in outside of that COVID bubble. All right. How are things out there? From most of the guys I'm talking to in your part of the it seems like business is all right there. So for the guys that are trying, if you're, I don't know what your sales volume is, but if you're over $1 million a year and you have a sales rep, I get into a process. It's called Client Kryptonite. It's like a 16-page sales script that you want your salespeople to have, where they have, and you have multi-steps. You're getting micro agreements. That kind of a process is way too high level for somebody who's still trying to grow their business, right? So if you're still trying to get to the first 500,000 or first million, this tonight we're talking more about like a 3-step process, just more low level, the basics, right? But if you are Thomas, or do you do all the sales for your company? Do you have a salesperson? How's that work for you? Um, Regardless of where you are, whoever is talking to the homeowner, you have to remember you lead the sale. Okay, very cool. All right, so are you in no man's land? And I describe no man's land is over 500,000, where people start to get burnout, frustrated, meaning you've hired a couple guys, and all of a sudden now you're just creating more problems. And part of you wishes you could go back to where it was just you and another guy or two. Or are you at the point where, no, I got a couple good crews, and okay, that's where you are. Fair enough. Yeah, so in the very beginning, I talked about this is a really standard journey across the remodeling industry. We all like to think it's just us, it's unique. It's not. It happens to everybody. Most guys, when they first start, you'll be able to hit 500,000 probably in roofing. If you have a couple good crews, I bet you could get up into the $700,000 range. And then what you're going to find is you're maxed out, right? And now all of a sudden it's just more problems, more headaches. Your process starts breaking down, and you physically just can't handle more business because it brings in too many problems, right? And that's just usually letting you know, like, damn, I need to work on like business skills and business acumen, right? And building in better processes. Um, Usually for most guys, the no man's land is like 750,000 to like 1.2 million. If you can get past that and survive and not scale, then all of a sudden it's a whole new world on the other side of the 1.2 million, give or take. So what's your setup right now? Do you do all the sales, and do you work with in-house guys, Thomas, or do you have subcontractors? Oh, cool. All right. So you have a sales process that you're training them on, or are you going to be hiring like guys that are already in the industry, and you're going to hope that they have some skills from wherever they're coming from, and they're just going to sell their way? Okay. And Thomas, do you have any business experience? Did you work in a corporate environment? What were you doing before starting this business 3 years ago? Were you in the industry working for another contractor and you're like, my these guys are idiots. I should start my own company? Or, what were you doing previously to starting this? And fast food. Were you doing do you have any management experience? Hmm. Patrick, welcome. Let us know what part of the country you're from. Kind of. All right. So, Thomas, let me know. Are you over 30 or under 30? Give me an idea if you don't mind. Juan Carlos, welcome. Let us know what part of the country you're from, and if you're in remodeling. Okay, just over 30. All right. Well, the reason I ask is when I got started with my remodeling, I was in my 20s, and it was challenging to hire older guys because they looked at me like a kid, right? I mean, um, but most likely, if you, what I would suggest to you if you're trying to grow is look for the older people that are more mature and have more years in the business, especially if you're not providing them with an extensive training program. Like if you don't have this sales process down pat where you can just give them the guidebook and say, here's exactly how you sell for my company, rinse, repeat, you know, then in that world, when you're still new, you're still figuring it all out. You probably want to bring in guys that are more mature, have a good foundation, and then you can help tweak them a little bit. You do roofing and exteriors. Is that like siding? We do windows. I'm assuming gutters, soffit, fascia. Are you doing basically an at home, like an exterior makeover? Like I'm assuming doors, windows. Okay, roofing, siding, gutters, and decks. And I'm assuming roofing is probably your most profitable. Um, so, and then how's your structure? Do you have in-house crews that work for you? Are you on the tools yourself? Do you work with subcontractors? Like if you get the roof job, or you sub it in-house? Okay. So you have your own gutter machine. You're doing everything. And do I guess the guys have, okay. All right. Very good. All right. Yeah, I mean, what you're doing, there's no reason. I don't know what your goal is. If you want to share what you're trying to get your sales to, I mean, there's no reason why you can't grow that to several $1 million a year pretty quickly. One thing you may or may not know about this industry is your competitors, the bar is set really low. The average contractor has no business skills. He might be good with math, like he might be able to figure out if he's making profit or not. But as far as like getting out of his own way, scaling, bringing in other players, hiring people better than him to do things so that he can focus on one thing, growing the business, most home improvement guys, they're control freaks. So they get in their own way and they hamper their own growth. If you can separate yourself in your ego from your business and bring in talented people, you can take off in this business. And then if you just focus on solving the homeowner's problem and being polite and respectful and attentive, right, this business becomes rinse and repeat pretty easy. Then it's just a matter of how much more marketing can you do? How good is your lead system? Do you have a CRM, Thomas? How are you capturing leads now? What are you doing with all like what's your customer database look like? Are you using a Excel spreadsheet? You do? Okay. Are you using a paid service like something like okay, roofer? Very cool. All right, good. And are you what is your outreach to the jobs that you don't land? What kind of follow-up process have you guys implemented? So for instance, you get 10 leads in the next 2 weeks, you sell 3 of them, or 4, right? What are you doing? What's your process for re-engaging and following back up with the people that weren't ready to purchase when you initially met with them? Okay. And let's say that for one reason or another, the homeowner, they don't do the job right away. Do you have a like a 6 week, 6 month? You have any long-term email campaign, text message campaign that's automated, right? So let's say you do your initial follow-up, 24 hours. Homeowner goes the other direction for one reason or another. They just don't hire you. We don't always know why, right? Sometimes they tell us, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes you have to drive back over there a month later and see if they've actually done anything or not. Um, do you guys have a process for those leads, the ones that faded for one reason or another? Fair enough. Yeah, yeah, no worries. Hey, look, you're only 3 years in, brother. Like the fact that you even have a CRM, you should be patting yourself on the back. Okay. And the fact that you're even going to be hiring salespeople, like you're way ahead of a lot of other guys. So that's good news. Um, so do you feel ready? Like if you so think about this for a minute. I'm assuming you're doing the business now. You sell and you're managing. Yeah, first year 15,000. So I hear you. Yeah. Hey, we all start somewhere, man. It's better than nothing. Um, yeah, so things must be going pretty good. You've made either that or you know how to live off very little, right? But you're on your third year, so that's good. You haven't given up. You haven't quit. Um, a lot of guys don't even make it. So 7 years, I think it's about. I think they're saying right now it's like 70% of remodeling, home improvement, contracting businesses will fail within the first 7 years. So you've made it past the first 3. That's really good. If you keep doing the little things, you should be fine. You should be better than fine. So let me ask you: how do you feel you? This happens to a lot of guys. They go out, they hire a sales rep or 2, like you're planning to, and then how are you going to be able to keep up with the demand? Like literally, most likely. Um, so when you're the owner of the business, you're wearing multiple hats. That's why you can never sell that much, right? Typically, I find owner operator can probably sell up to about maybe 1.5 million if they're really good at sales and highly organized and have a really good team, right? That'll be about your max that you could do. But if you bring in a good sales rep, each one should be able to do $3 million a year. So you guys, if you're bringing in 2 sales reps, you could be at 5 to 6 million. All right, Thomas, have a good one. Take it easy. Appreciate you joining the live. Jonathan, welcome. Anybody else? Who do we have in here? Who just jumped in? Good info, welcome. Are you in the remodeling space or just jumping in? You have any? We were talking about sales and how you, if you want to try to scale, how are you going to do it? Like, how are you weeding out your customers? What's your sales process? And I was just discussing if your company's under $1 million, I have a basic sales approach for you. But if your company's doing more than $1 million, then we have like an in-depth process. Because at that point, now you're getting into having sales reps, project managers. Yeah, if you're new, let me know where you're from. Who do we have in here? Sandy, hello, welcome. If you have any questions about remodeling? All right. Anyone else? Any questions about remodeling? You have sales problems? We might be running out. Time, it's getting a little late. Rowdy, welcome. What part of the country are you in, brother? You in remodeling sales? You have a remodeling business? Just Daniel, welcome. Yeah, so we're just set up. We had a couple guys in earlier. We're talking about remodeling sales and the process, depending on whether you're at $1 million a year or over or under. So if you're new, let me know what part of the country you're from and what what's your remodeling specialty and where do you fall? You looking to get information on a sales process for guys doing less than $1 million or over? And the reason there's a delineation is if you're doing less than $1 million, it's too much to try to teach you a complete, like a 12-step, 16-page sales script, that you would have memorized and with micro agreements and all that. That's for like a professional salesperson running a remodeling business. Um, then you can start doing like 3 million a year, but you got to have the team to support it. It takes time to memorize the scripts and to break down all the processes. So if you're just starting out, we start out with a much more basic, just a 3-step sales process framework. Get your feet wet. It's better than nothing. And then once you recognize that you can build a crew and a team, then we can elevate your sales acumen. Anyway, Marcos, let me know where you're from. Welcome. What part of the country is your business in? Do you do remodeling, Marcos? All right. Well, we might be ending the live. I'm not seeing him anymore. If you're new, welcome. Hey there, welcome. If you're new to the account, let me know where you're from, and if you got any questions about remodeling sales process, so let me know your specialty and whether you do over or under $1 million, and we could get into anything you have. I could share anything you need to know about sales. Typically, I find you want to have two different processes. For guys that are doing over $1 million, we can get into like a 16-page 11-step sales process, where you would have memorized scripts and micro agreements, right? That really dive in so that your sales reps or you can be doing like each rep can be doing $3 million a year more in sales for a remodeling business. But if you're newer, that's way too much. We focus on just a simple 3-step process that'll help at least get you over the 500,000, possibly into the 750 until you start getting some support. So if you have any questions, I can get into that. Otherwise, I'm just hanging out for a few minutes, seeing who's on tonight. Read the lead, find the deeper need. Lead with solution. So, okay, Ellie, I'm a contractor in Virginia. Yeah, so what's your specialty? Yeah, Virginia Beach, it's nice. I'm on the western shore of the bay in Maryland. So, I mean, very familiar with Ocean City, New Jersey, Ocean City, Maryland. Need solution. And what's your structure, Eli? Like, how are you set up? Oh, nice. Okay. Do you build complete decks, or are you like a specialty guy for high-end decks? Do you just come in and does another contractor build the deck structure itself, and then you just come in and do a high-end railing? Do you work on high-end properties down at the beach, or try to give me a little context for what you do? Okay. All right. So what's your average sale? Like $15,000-$20,000, or is it 40,000? Is it smaller? Yeah. All right. And Eli, let me know how long you've been in the business. I'm assuming you have like a real company, insurance license. How long have you been structured that way? Okay, 1 year. You started your own. You have 5 years experience working for other company. All right, congratulations. Hey, you made it through 1 year. That's awesome. Okay, how good so. Okay, this is awesome. I appreciate you sharing all these things. Yeah, man. The first year is always the hardest. 50% don't even make it this far. So congratulations. All right. This may sound counterintuitive to you, and hear me for a moment. The first year in business, you're most likely desperate to do anything. Like you're trying to land any project that you can, okay? Because you have to bring in more revenue, right? You're like, if I don't sell something, get a job this week, I'm not eating. Long term, that plan doesn't work, but it's what you have to do in the beginning to get started. So the sooner that you can shift to picking a niche, one specialty that you are primarily known for, that'll be the most effective way to go forward with your marketing. Now, follow me for a minute. Once you build a foundation, once most of Virginia Beach knows that Eli is the guy to go for the following: accent wall, specialty handrails, decks. It doesn't matter to me. You pick one of those things that you would like to do the most of, or the one that you're like, well, that's the one that I'm the most profitable at, or that's the one that I get asked to do the most. There's multiple ways to skin this cat. You want to pick one thing, and then that is what we go after. You become the guy for that. Now, when you land these other jobs, then you hand the homeowner like a flyer, a postcard, a trifold, and it lists out all the other services. And that's what you use to work off for referrals, repeat business. But when your go-to-market strategy as a new contractor, this is just if you want to crush it. The guys that crush it, one thing. I know a guy that just does mailboxes. That's it. He specializes. He can build a whole house. The point is, all his marketing, all his advertising is one thing. When you do it that way, that's how you stand out in the marketplace. Does that make sense to you, Eli? I can share with you. I know it's two women actually, and their husbands. They run a accent wall business down in Texas. They've been doing decent. They got up to a couple $1 million a year within like the first 2 years. They're struggling a little bit now because they're trying to figure out their structure. Not every, once you start getting into a couple million, then you start recognizing, oh, maybe I'm not the best manager. Contract that you do. Yeah. So Eli, just look over what you did this last year, and pick one thing, brother. And the other way you could try it is you pick one thing and you stick with that marketing campaign for 6 months. You don't deviate. You try several different ad campaigns. How much do you know about Meta? Like, do you know what a ad campaign set is? Do you know what a pixel is? But anyway, you would want to build a campaign like that and stick with it for like the next 6 months. And then you can see where you're at. Help me understand another thing. Yeah, exactly. From my understanding, so I know of a couple, they just moved to Virginia Beach to be full-time, like, and they're not retirees. From what I understand, in the last like 10 years, Virginia Beach has a ton of live year-round people, right? Like active, regular adults living their life. So what I'm saying is, business in Virginia Beach is not seasonal like it used to be 20 years ago. From my understanding, and I haven't lived there personally, but from my understanding, like, it's a full-blown market that you can work year-round in. So we just have to help you come up with lots of military. So, yep, it's a little tricky with military, right? Because you want to make sure that you're working for people that have some money too. And don't get me wrong, what I'm trying to say is, the husband and wife military person that just bought their first house might not be the ideal client. But whereas if it's somebody who's been in the military for like 15 years and they live in your area and this is their family home, their forever home, and they want to make a nice update, you know what I mean? So sometimes you have to really find your niche, who you're going to target. It's called a demographic. I don't know what your business background is, if you understand a lot of marketing and advertising skill sets like demographics. Have you ever done what's called the ideal client avatar? Do you have one of those for your business? Okay, no worries. That's something we could get you up on to look into. So most likely you also don't have a USP. That's considered your unique selling proposition. So where I'm going with this is, in the advertising world, a lot of guys are like, well, I just need to put an ad out there. Like, I'm going to tell everyone I build decks, and you're like, I'll just give them 10% off, right? It's a race to the bottom. These are the guys that get beat up over price. Anyone that calls on those ads, because you're looking like all the other contractors that don't know what they're doing. To scale and to really grow, you separate yourself. You have to come up with a good hook, a headline, right? You know your demographic. You know exactly who you're marketing to. You know what your niche is, why the homeowner is going to call you. Like, you're the best accent wall guy in Virginia Beach. And now all of a sudden your social media. Like, do you have an Instagram page? You have a Facebook page for your business by any chance? Awesome. So what should happen, Eli, is over time, over the next few months, you want to focus on building that page to where it really showcases one thing that you do really, really well. Now look, you're going to take pictures of all your jobs, and you'll put posts out there about all the work, but you'll really want to focus in on one primary gig, and that's the one that you'll post about the most, like 3 to 1, let's say. So let's say you pick the accent wall business, right? And in any given week, you'll do 3 times. Okay, you got it. Anyway, Eli, if all this kind of stuff sounds cool to you, I'd be happy to give you like a 30-minute. I call them a strategy call. We could always book something like that. You share a little more information about your business, and I can give you a little insight, no charge, no, it's all free. Give you some insight to where I think your opportunity lies. So if you follow me on TikTok, just send me a DM, and I'll get you a link, and we'll analyze your business for you. So anyway, but it's not that hard. It's a lot. When you hear me talk, understand that in the beginning it might sound like a lot to do. It's only a lot because it's new to you. It's weird. The other day you were hired to trim the back of a windowsill back an inch. Yeah, so so you do some handyman work too, right? Like, I get you. And hey, I think handyman work's amazing. So like, but you have to go all in if you want to be what I'm saying is for your advertising. I'm just sharing with you, if you want it most effective. But yeah, so what we did, we launched a handyman division so that it would feed us business for the remodeling side of the company. In my area, you have a lot of homeowners that they thought that hiring a contractor was too expensive. So they would call a handyman. And our handyman projects could be like $5,000. Okay, so it's not like it's $300. I mean, you'd have people call us for a handyman, and actually they'd want a deck. That could be 20, 40,000. They'd want a kitchen remodel. That could be 60. they were calling a handyman, and that let us know that they sort of have a little bit of a budget that they wanted to work off of because they didn't want to hire a high-end contractor. So yeah, um, any of that stuff can work for you. Again, when you're starting out, you just got to book work as best, and stack the money. Yeah. So, but if you, Eli, the business is, as long as you can remember to follow back up with people, come up with a decent sales process so that you understand how to weed out clients, who to talk to, who not to, how to direct them so that, you you can virtually eliminate all these objections that guys are always complaining about, getting price checked, they're too high, the homeowner's going to shop you. Over time, you can learn how to eliminate all of that, and it just becomes much easier business. So, sounds like you're in a good place. You got work coming in, you're in a good market, Virginia Beach, you do good work. So, that's kind of funny that the homeowner wanted you to trim back a windowsill. Yeah, Eli, it's perfectly normal. Like in the beginning, and correct me if I'm wrong, but usually it comes by, and please hear me when I say this. This is I'm just speaking from what it was for me. It you have a right now there's a confidence and a fear sometimes about charging more because you're like, well, what if I don't get the job? Like I have to land this job. And over time, as you build up a little more of a skill set, here's what I'm trying to say. Once you've dealt with your thousandth customer, you just don't have time to play games anymore. Like you say to the homeowner, man, this is how it works. Like, I love that you called. That's great. Just like you're trying to figure out who to hire, I'm trying to figure out who to work for. So you're going to ask me some questions. I'm going to ask you some questions. And you just become very matter of fact. You share that this is your process, right? You have a fee to come out to do on site diagnostics, measurements. Yeah, so it just takes, for most people, it just takes more reps. You just have to have more homeowner experiences. And the sooner you can get them, the better you're going to be, right? You just have to, most guys have to just survive long enough. In this industry, it's tough. A lot of guys, fail before they get enough reps in. You've probably heard the 10,000 hour rule. In our business, what kills most guys is they don't have enough work. They don't have enough customers. They don't have enough leads. And then they get desperate. And when you get desperate, you make bad decisions. Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. There's nothing, no. You don't have being the nice guy, that's fine. You can have compassion and be empathetic. Yep. There's just a way of understanding that. Think about it this way. In every conversation that you have ever in your entire life, there was a persuasion and a negotiation. Your parents, when you were younger, they were persuading and negotiating you to do what they wanted. And then when you became a teenager and you started being oppositional, you started learning how to persuade and negotiate to get what you wanted. And so, like, you had that experience with your family, right? You're going through that same journey as a business owner. In the beginning, you end up, I guess the word is succumbing. You'll do more about what you're less oppositional towards the homeowner in your beginning because you see them as the authoritative. They have the power, right? I got to work for them. I got to be careful. I don't want to mess this up and lose the job. Over time, you start going, what the hell am I doing here? No, I'm in charge. I run my business, right? Same dynamic happens. It just takes time to get there and practice. But yeah, make sure you should follow the account. If you're not, send me your if you have a website. Yeah, yeah, Eli, you're probably too young, but think about it like this: when you were a baby, somebody believed that you could walk, even though you never had walked, right? You figured out how to crawl. Your parents encouraged you to get up and walk. No one ever laughed at you and said, "Ah, look at Eli. He's just a baby. He thinks he can walk. He's crazy. He's never walked before. How does he think he's going to walk? But because you kept falling and crawling, you build up the muscles to eventually learn how to walk. I can share from you, in my experience as a remodeling contractor, you have to go through the same journey with your business. In the beginning, you're going to be like, I can't do that. That's impossible. I can never do that, because you've never done it. And the first 100 times that you try it, you'll probably fail. But eventually you'll build up the muscles, the strength, the mindset. You'll learn the tactics, the selling skills, the business skills, to where it becomes a piece of cake. But it's a journey. It's a process. You just have to go through it. Everyone does. Being a business owner is like one of the best ways to get maturity as a person, in a sense. Like, you're going to get a whole new set of skills that you never even. Here's what I can tell you. Every time you start having a problem in your business, be thankful, because that's teaching you the next business skill that you need to go learn. So, piece of cake. Yeah, but make sure you're following the account. Shoot me your, if you can, and DM me like your website or your link to unless you use TikTok, or your link to your Instagram. I'll check out some of your posts, see what kind of work, always like to see what guys are doing. Who else? Yeah, and I appreciate you being on the live. And yeah, Eli, thanks for sharing. If you have any questions, you can always, obviously you can ask anything you want here. You can always pop in on the lives. You can always DM me. Yeah, you're going to kill it, brother. Just do little things. So, and like I said, if you want that strategy call, you just put that in the DM. We offer those to some people. I try to do a couple a week. Just depends on how busy these get. So, all right. Well, Eli, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Let me see if anybody else has joined, has any questions. Unless you've got any other questions. Tony, were you on earlier? I can't tell. Jay Callie, you have any questions? You guys have anything? So, all right. Well, I don't see any new comments coming in. Let me check. Eli, you got anything pop up for you here you want to ask? Any questions? Who else? Tony, any questions before I hop off? All right. Well, if you're on YouTube, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments. Otherwise, I think that's it for tonight. All right. Well, Tony, welcome. Maybe you come back another time, and we're always discussing something about remodeling. So, all right. You guys have a good night.